Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Prue.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hey everybody, this is Pete A. Turner.
And this is Phil Green.
And today we have got a fight for you. Father versus son. Bob taking on Ziggy, the Marleys. This is going to be exciting. Phil brought this fight to us, and we were lucky, very, very lucky to get Wes Maebe to come back on and do another fight with us. And I just wanted to say thanks, because it's always good to hang out with you, man.
Pleasure. Love them.
Yeah, and you know this genre of music. You've just recently done a lot of work on UB40's new album, and it's always awesome to have a professional ear in these things, because I do my best to get smarter, but boy, you will know things that we can't know just from listening. So it's great to have you here.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Phil, can you introduce our fighters?
In the red corner from Trenchtown, Jamaica, coming in with his ninth studio album from 1997, we have the legend himself, Bob Marley, with Exodus. And in the blue corner from Kingston, Jamaica, coming in with his second solo album from 2006, we have the son of the legend, Ziggy Marley, with Love Is My Religion. Now let's throw it to Dr. Richard Lackey for his patent-pending pre-fight analysis. Richard, how do you see this father-son fight playing out?
This week's fight is very unique. We've got iconic father versus son following in dad's footsteps. At first glance, it seems like, this is going to be just kind of a runaway, but I don't know if I would quite go that far. I've caught Ziggy a couple of times at some festivals, puts on a great show, some great music, lots of fun, but he's just got, boy, does he have some of the biggest shoes to fill when it comes to music. So let's look at the numbers and kind of see how this thing breaks down. In the popularity traits, we've got, Spotify was pretty much a walk for Exodus. But with iTunes, Ziggy put up a good fight. That one turned out to be 5 rounds to 4 to 1 tie, which really kind of surprised me. So there's something there with Ziggy's album. But then you start getting into the other parameters, and it's Bob Marley all the way, pretty much there. As far as reviews go, there's just so little on Love Is My Religion that Bob just walked away with the reviews. Rolling Stone 500. Exodus is the 169th out of 500, and Ziggy's not even in the conversation. Now, the one thing that Ziggy does have is that album did win the Grammy for Best Reggae Album, so that was his one little shining light in all of this. Rounds to look at for Exodus, 6, 9, and 10. Rounds to look for Love Is My Religion is 2, 6, and 7, so we've got a common round. We'll see how that works out. I think while song to song it may be close, I don't think this is going to end up being close. I'm going unanimous decision, probably 7 rounds to 3 for Bob Marley's Exodus. Back to you guys.
So we got an album that's critically acclaimed and against an album that's critically acclaimed. Any thoughts going in, Phil? You built this fight. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that the whole idea behind this fight was to see if Ziggy could stand up to the reputation and the quality of his father. And going into the fight, my expectations are probably not, but I love both these artists. Grew up listening to Bob, and then really got introduced to Ziggy with his children's albums, and getting my kids listening to different types of music and different sounds. And Ziggy Marley was great in introducing kind of this reggae sound to a younger generation through his kids' music. So really kind of grew to love Ziggy through that avenue. But me growing up listening to Bob, this seemed like a fun, natural fight, but not sure if Ziggy's chops are quite up to his dad's.
Yeah, did you have trouble? I know I did, in trying to reduce the amount of influence that Bob Marley has just by being Bob Marley. Like, it's just really hard to separate those things.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, right?
Yeah.
So you have someone that kind of helped define the genre of music, and then you have his kid who basically grew up around all these talented musicians and was introduced to different types of music, and similar to Bob. Bob was Jamaican, but grew up also a little bit in the U.S. and was introduced to U.S. music, and that's what brought in his jazz and blues type influences that you hear in his music. So, even though it's reggae, categorized as reggae, it's really his type of reggae kind of redefined what people thought of as reggae by introducing kind of these other sounds that weren't part of traditional reggae.
And what about you, Wes? What are your thoughts? I mean, going in, you have the massive impact of Bob Marley, but you also have growing up from infancy as a musician, taught by a master. How do you separate those two things?
Yeah, it was when it came about, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Poor kid. I mean, I have to confess, as growing up, I was definitely not into reggae at all. I mean, I did, I just had a handful of sort of Marley songs that I liked, but in general, I never really understood the reggae thing until, fairly recently I started working with the UB40 guys. It was like, oh, okay, now I get it. And that it was really cool doing this fight because it made me listen to these albums with a completely different mindset. I was like, yeah, this is good. And then, yeah. So it was a good little comeback, and yeah, now I really love it.
It's such a textured and I mean, you look at the music that Bob was making in the studio back in the 70s and the amount of musicianship it took to put that much music in the time, like what was possible in the studio versus now. All the percussion, the different, all the different styles, the ways of playing the guitar, two different guitars playing in time, and there's not a bunch of, at least from my ear, you tell me, there's not a bunch of bleed over, so they're really accomplishing quite a bit.
Definitely. I mean, we'll see through the fight. I mean, I'm you know me, I'm always going to approach this a little bit more from a sound engineer's point of view.
And that's why it's great to have you. And so
I can't help it.
Let's hear that engineer's point of view. Let's go ahead and start this thing off. Round one, Natural Mystic versus Into the Groove. What do you think, Wes?
Uh-oh. Well, I've got this thing about reggae being, because it's such party music, it's instant bounce, instant groove. You just can't help yourself. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna bounce to it. And Natural Mystic is this, it just hits right home in that instant, moody, dark reggae vibe. We've got the super heavy bass. I mean, we've got this joke going in engineering. Is like, if you're mixing a reggae album and they could get away with asking for more bass on the hi-hat, they could. It's like it's like more bass on everything.
Yeah.
And you got the super crispy top end on the hats and the shakers, but there's an amazing space around everything. You're in the room where they recorded. You can feel the vibe. You can see the band perform just by listening to it. It's instant banging opening track, and then Into the Groove. Oh God, people are going to hate me because I'm going to be so picky, but it just feels a little messy, and also it's quite difficult to compare the two tracks because you got Natural Mystic, which is killer reggae vibe, and then Into the Groove is actually not reggae at all. It's more soca, but to me it just didn't feel as defined. It's not hitting as hard. It just feels a little busy and not as groovy. It just feels a little clean, where to me reggae is all about the groove. It's all about the vibe and the feel, and this kind of, I hate to use the term too digital, but it almost feels a little digital to me. It feels a little clean. So for me, Daddy's picking this one 10-9.
Phil, what about you?
I was going to say this round was probably the hardest round for me, and I had to go back and forth. And actually, on my notes and my scorecard, I have scratched out the score and changed the score 3 times.
Wow.
So it was a tough one for me. And I agree with you, Wes. You know, for Into the Groove, I don't know. What'd you call this?
Soca.
Just what's soca?
Soca, yeah. It's it's the sort of Caribbean groove, which is a lot more Latin influenced. You know, it's not the clear downstrokes. You know,
right. So I agree with you on that. It's not reggae, and I put in my notes. I have, is this calypso? What is this?
Yeah, calypso, soca. There's a little bit of you know.
But
it's definitely a lot more Latin influenced.
Yeah.
Right. And then I kind of had to separate, you know, the way I looked at this is I'm not grading it or judging this as a reggae album, but just as, technically, you know, there's reggae beats and there's not reggae beats in some of these songs. Some of them are, you know, I think I have in my notes that one of these is, you know, has a little bit of ska in it. Another one is rock steady. So, you know, it's not true reggae, but, you know, separating that out, the guitar intro on Into the Groove just hooked me. I was like, oh, I really like that. That's really good. And I think it really sets the tone for the album and who Ziggy Marley is. And to me, Ziggy Marley is, unlike his dad, his message is more about love and fun. And it's a much more childish type, I guess, message and feel. And this song Into the Groove just set that tone for the album for me. And it was just, you know, the horns chiming in, you know, the light it up with the horns, you know, in the middle of the song. I thought that was fantastic. And it just really, really, really captured me. And I was like, okay, I played it. Actually, this song shows up out in my pool. And so, you know, I'm used to this song kind of being the soundtrack to my pool life. It really kind of helps me get into that pool groove. Okay, that's the one thing that I didn't like about the song is the kind of the kids rhyming schemes that he has. So it almost lost this round just by rhyming plunge with sponge. It was just, that's too, you know, elementary for me. You know, after going back and forth, you know, Natural Mystic, I agree. Just the bass and the keyboard set that, and the guitar set that solid reggae foundation. And thought I heard blues guitar in there as well. Everything just seemed very well balanced in Natural Mystic. I would have scored this 10-10, but I'm trying to get away from, you know, scoring ties. And so it really came down to me in this round was, okay, if I'm having my pool party, which song do I want on at the time? Oh, and I'd rather listen to Into the Groove than Natural Mystic.
We had to go a long way to get there.
And so I have Into the Groove winning 10 to Natural Mystic's 9.
Oh, all right. I'll keep mine quick. This is Natural Mystic. It's one of Bob Marley's biggest songs ever. And, I think the world of Ziggy Marley's work. I think his singing is great. He grew up as a musician. He's born into this. So he certainly has the vibe. His dad is from a different era where things weren't as certain. There was a lot more danger and there's a lot more corruption. His dad, despite his incredible success, didn't realize it till he was dead. You know, all the albums were sold by his kids. So Ziggy's got a happier existence than the Mystic one. So I get why he sings about love. He's seen Peter Tosh die. He's seen his dad get shot and then die from cancer. And, you know, so when he says emancipate your mind, free yourself, these are the themes that he's singing about. And it's so counter to what his dad was doing. Boy, what his dad was doing. Natural Mystic is such a strong song. You know, half this album is really political, and he forces you to go look up Marcus Garvey and different names from the past of the heroes of Jamaica and the heroes of the common man. And these themes are really, really powerful. And it's a great way to start off the album. I went Bob Marley 10-9. Round 2, Love Is My Religion versus So Much Things to Say. Phil, go ahead and kick us off.
All right, so round 2, let's talk about So Much Things to Say first. I really enjoyed the harmonized vocals in the song. It was really good. The humming, like you can't underestimate the power of humming. Humming in the background of the song just was fantastic. And the song had a foot tapping rhythm, and it was very strong. I don't know, Wes, I don't know, maybe you know what this is, but there's a squishy or juicy sound in the intro. I have no idea what that was, but it was fantastic. I'd never heard it before. And, just this is kind of this squish, it's like, but it was like a juicy bass.
Huh.
I couldn't tell if it came from a guitar or from where that came from, but it was fantastic. That said, Love Is My Religion is kind of a mantra for me. I think that I look at everything as, if we led with love, the world would be a better place. Again, the lyrics and the rhyming, they're a little elementary. But then again, Ziggy's put out like 5 kids albums.
Yeah.
So, maybe he had a hard time differentiating that this was not a kids album, but I think he needs to get a little more sophisticated in his rhymes. But that said, I love this song. I love the message. I have Love Is My Religion, 10 to So Much Things to Say, 9.
Boy, you are really working hard.
I got to give the son a fair shot, right?
Fair shot.
Otherwise, two of his better songs on this album, if he can't win those rounds, then it's going to be, poor kid.
Yeah. Well, look, I do think Love Is My Religion. Great lyrics. I don't condemn. I don't convert. Such a difference than what his dad talking about Ja all the time. Yeah, this is my calling. Have you heard? Bring all the lovers to the fort, because no one is going to lose their soul. Great. I love that. All we need is love. It's a great message. It's a powerful song. More Latin-based themes. And I think what we see here from Ziggy is that he's a legit Grammy-level musician. He can stand out amongst his peers. Name aside, has really established himself. Unfortunately, he's going against So Much Things to Say, and it's more of Bob's stellar work. Paul Bogle, Marcus Garvey, and talking about that point of view. And then he turns around and talks about what's said back to him. And the lyric is, they've got la, 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 and it's perfect. It's part scat. It's also, diminishing what the government is saying and offering back, and it's such a powerful thing. I love that part. Like, he's so much things to say from 2 different points of view. It's great. It's Bob Marley. It's 10-9 his round. Wes?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is weird, isn't it? Because, like you said, Bob's first half of the album is all about, it's all politics. It's all about the shooting and having to flee his own country. But then with that, you get all these other influences. A lot of UK rock, and Junior is adding so much blues. I mean, a lot of aficionados didn't like him for that sort of UK bluesy way of playing. I was just reading a wonderful Bob Marley book we have in the house, where he was saying, if I have to be dictated by what it's going to be, then I can't be free. I have to have the freedom to express and have my guys and girls express themselves. So it's tough to put that heavy political thing against the pure love that Ziggy is spreading. Although, I mean, I probably have to admit that the first couple of songs in this album fight, I was so like, no, there's no way Ziggy's going to win this. So I'm probably a bit more brutal in the beginning than towards the end. But I always, with Love Is My Religion, I just felt like, the reggae ingredient was like an afterthought. It was like, I am Bob Marley's son, so I have to do reggae. As where I'm, maybe if that wasn't playing in the back of his mind,
sure,
or the back of everybody's mind who was involved with it might have come out stronger. As sort of, we have to make sure that ingredient is there. Yeah, so I'm missing a bit of production-wise. I just thought it felt a little dry. As where, I'm really used to those massive dub things going on in reggae, which drive the track. So I was missing a little bit of that. And then So Much Things to Say, it's got me straight from the reggae fill at the intro. I was like, yep, here we are. And it just grooves like fuck. I'm going to give this to Bob again, so 10-9. But it was a close call. It was a difficult one.
Yeah, I found that round to be really difficult too. It was close because Ziggy really does deliver a lot in what he's got. Let's go on to round 3. guiltlessness versus make some music. And again, we have the same thing where Ziggy is really surprising to me because like everybody, they're like, no way, Bob Marley's going to walk and win, and it's not even going to be close. But I think these rounds are close, and we're seeing that Ziggy really has the ability to find, or has not the ability, has definitely found his own voice. Guiltiness has Aston and Carlton laying down the rhythm section, and especially in reggae, the rhythm section is not just a foundation, it's like a banyan tree. You've got to work your way through it no matter what you do. They don't just found, they define the music, and if you don't talk about these two dudes and how they do it, then you're just missing it out. But Bob does take a breath on this song. There's a small opening for Ziggy, and I think Ziggy's up to the challenge. You've got the classic reggae moves from Make Some Music. I think it's great. And finally, he's shining through this dark canopy, because Bob's so dark and heavy with what he's got. Like when Bob brings in horns, especially like in Mystic, the horn is terrifying. It's the same kind of horns, but you layer them together and slightly change the point of view, and all of a sudden these horns are something different. Now there's a flute in the song, and the percussion from Ziggy is great, and I just love the power of longevity. Here's Ziggy being able to get past the normal things that are allowed in reggae, get past people saying you can't bring in jazz, you can't bring in this, and he's like, but I've been doing it, like I am this. There's no way, like you can't tell me what I can't do because I've been doing it. And you get to this point by being someone who's been recognized through his longevity and his performance. So I give this round to Ziggy 10-9 in a very interesting and solid round for the kid. Go ahead and go, Wes. What do you have?
Okay. Let's go with the guiltiness first. Again, just hits you straight, really dark, like you said. I just absolutely love this track, and again, I have to admit, I never really listened to this as an album. You just you know all the songs and that's it. But this made me sit down and listen through it, and it was like, whoa, okay, this is a strong piece of work. Again, it's you're immediately transported to the studio. You could just it's dark, it's moody. You could just see the big spliff smoke filling the room and everybody's vibing. And Bob Marley has this ability to make the repetitiveness of reggae interesting. I have no idea how he does it. If you listen to it, it's very repetitive. Everything's the same, and there's no key changes ever or whatever. But it's still interesting. And then Make Some Music. I really think Ziggy stepped up to the mark there. He really nailed that. It's just on par with his dad's vibe, and there's a little bit more original reggae stuff in there. I'm gonna tie them on this one.
Look at that!
I'm gonna give them a 10, both. Well done, Ziggy. Absolutely, fucking nailed it.
Well done. And Wes is a very strict judge, so to get a 10 out of him, you had to do something special. So 10-point round acknowledged for Ziggy. Good job. Phil, how did you have it?
So speaking of spliffs, though, according to legend, Bob Marley nicknamed or gave David Nesta Marley the nickname Ziggy because Ziggy is apparently another word for a spliff, right? If you ask Ziggy being the wholesome kids album guy, he's like, oh no, I loved David Bowie when I was younger. So Ziggy Stardust, that's why everyone called me Ziggy. So you mentioned spliffs. Maybe that's indication Ziggy Marley, maybe.
Well,
but anyway.
there's another story that when he was born, his foot was all a bit weird, so he called him Ziggy because it's a soccer term for like dribbling and zigzagging. Because he had his feet looked odd. That's the other story.
I had not heard that one.
Yeah,
I find it interesting. This round, I don't know, Make Some Music, it didn't do it for me. I really enjoyed the appearance of the flute and the voice that the flute brought to this particular song. The horns, again, fantastic. Anywhere where you can throw horns in there, give me some horns. I don't know, the spoken word / rap that showed up, I don't know. I just didn't feel. It just felt forced, and I don't know. Make Some Music just didn't connect to me the way that Guiltiness. Again, that solid reggae. It was dark. I mean, singing about the struggle and oppression. With lyrics of bread of sorrow, bread of sad tomorrow. I was like, wow, powerful, powerful, powerful. I have it 10-9 Guiltiness over Make Some Music.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how counter I can be to you guys today.
It's close. It's going to be close.
Let's see how Wes does in round 4. Round 4, Friend versus Heathen. Oh, that's a nice dichotomy there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, let's start with Friend. So it looks like we're back to Ziggy's more poppy side, and again, you get a lot more soca and Latin influences. So I found this one very difficult, and I went back and forth on it. But what did I write on the Heathen? It reminds me of that time when I was working on the UB's latest record, and I was trying to be all clever, right? I was trying to be subtle and putting little delays here and there and stuff. Ali, the lead singer, just told me, okay, stop right there, put on your reggae hat, live up to your UB40 reggae nickname, Gunslinger, and be brutal. If you're gonna do something, if there's a lick, if there's a delay, if there's like whatever, just push it like it's too far, it's too loud, and you go, oh no, that's too loud, leave it there. And that melodic lick in this song is so loud, but it totally works. It just drives the whole track, and you're really starting to hear the blues influence on some of the guitar playing, and I think that the whole sort of influence that London and the UK is having on him is coming through a lot more. So I don't know, it just hit me a lot harder than Friend, but it was so close. It was very, very close. But Ziggy has to step 1 point back on this one. 10-9 for Bob.
10-9 for Bob. Phil, how did you have round 4?
Well, the Heathen grabbed me right at the intro with some interesting sounds, but the song was so repetitive. So, Wes, you were talking about reggae being repetitive. This was like reggae on steroids repetitive. I'm not sure the language that Bob's speaking, the Heathen back upon the wall. I mean, is that just broken English or Jamaican English? I don't know, but
it's Jamaican English, man.
I don't know. It just wore me down. But Friend, again, the reason I like Ziggy Marley is because he can uplift you just with his music. And Friend is another one of those songs. It's warm and happy. That tone is just, if you're feeling down, you play that song, it's going to lift you right up. The message is fantastic. The guitar solo in it was so refreshing, and the organ, it just bundled up joy for me, and I have it 10-9 Friend over the Heathen.
All right. Well, I had round 4. I think Friend is just a nice song. It's not great, but it's nice. And when Ziggy writes something, this is like his professional, the floor of his songs. He just doesn't miss by very much. He doesn't really nail it. So he's just...
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Really nail it. So he's just always in his sweet spot, and this is a solid professional song, a touch too poppy for my ear, but when I'm looking for fault in the song, I'm struggling to find anything. Heathen, for me, like you said, Phil, got a little monotonous, and it was more trance-like than a lyrical ride, and maybe I expect Bob to give me a lyrical ride with the fantastic musicality of his band, and so maybe that just kind of kicked me out of the groove a little bit, and if I'm not in the groove on a reggae song, then there's enough of a problem here to take Ziggy's B- of a song, or B, and then I'm like, hey, I'm not in the groove on Bob, so I had to be fair and give this one to Ziggy and his ode to his friends, because that's a good reason to write a song. Like, everybody who wants to like say something to their friend, you can just send this link and be like, I was thinking about you, and that's a nice gift to give the world. So Ziggy gets it 10-9.
Well put.
Thank you. Round 5. Phil, you're going to kick us off, and our songs are, and Jesus Christ, it's about to get tough here.
It's gonna get tough for Ziggy.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be tough to figure out who's gonna win these rounds.
Know, since we're taking a bit of an aside here, this back half of this Exodus album, I mean, the front half is no slouch, but goddamn, what's about to happen here? These next 6 songs. Wes, can you, off the top of your head, think of any other album that has a back 6 like this?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, there's some real damage about to be done here. We've got Exodus versus Black Cat. Good luck, Ziggy. Go ahead, Phil.
So Black Cat, to me, I think belongs on his next children's album. I'm not sure if Black Cat, if I was trying to read into it, is he talking about a woman? It just, I don't know. I mean, I like the horn. I think there was a sax in there. It had a ska vibe to it that I love ska. Yeah, it just felt like a kid song to me. Unless it really is about a woman, then it's not so much a kid song. But the energy of the song is contagious. I just don't know about the subject matter, But it's going against just a hard-hitting Exodus. I mean, the intro is just amazing, and you know from the first couple beats what song it is. Then the bass kicks in. Oh my God, this song! I mean, you can listen to it, and it's this second half of the album. This song itself is kind of the turning point in the album where, he's talking about leaving, and it's, is it a biblical message or is it a Rastafarian message? And is it, really a song about, his own life but regardless, it's just an amazing song. And I have it 10-9, probably should have been 10-8. But I didn't feel like it was fair to have Dad beat down on the son and knock him out. So I didn't score any knockdowns because I just thought that was unfair for the old man to knock out his son. So I have it 10-9.
All right, fair enough. In round 5, obviously Exodus, and that's where I'm going to spend my time is right from the jump. Excellent use of stereo. The 2 guitars playing lead with each other, the horns. Before there's even a word, this is a tight band in a loose jam, and the groove is a mile wide. Everybody's in it. And the sonic quality is on par with anything anybody has done. And when I say that, I'm including Earth, Wind, and Fire, who bring in all kinds of sounds. And they're absolutely on par with the best band ever at doing that, and that's those guys. There's nobody that puts more sounds, more textures, more vibes and emotions in than Earth, Wind, and Fire. So give them that compliment. That's a compliment to both for me. When you define your art form, reggae, or when reggae is defined by Bob Marley, it's songs like Exodus that allow a white kid from Cleveland working in a cube farm to escape, his life because Bob Marley says so. And that exit outside of genre because of songs like Exodus that get them to go study. I mean, I don't know who that kid is in Cleveland in a cube farm, but I know there's one because Bob Marley insists. This is a massive round. Black Cat, like you said, I didn't know if it was a woman, if he's actually fucking singing to a black cat. I know there's a lot of superstition in the Caribbean, so maybe there's a real problem there. I don't know. I don't care. Exodus 10-8, and Ziggy's looking up at his dad saying, Jesus Christ, in my mouth like that? Wes, how did you have round 5?
Well, yeah, I think that was a no-brainer, but I mean, this is Marley's call to arms. I mean, this is people rise up and fuck you to the system.
Yes.
Big time. He just fled Jamaica. He'd been shot. He's over here. He's in a different country. And the dude is just a master of translating his feelings into music. And whether you like or dislike reggae, this track just gets you bouncing and it just drags you into his feelings. which is, an amazing feat. And it's a long song and it's repetitive, but it's never boring.
Yeah.
It's that thing again. Black Cat, well, yeah, poor Ziggy's got some huge shoes to fill there. It's a happy song. It's a cool little song. Gets you bouncing, and like Phil said, there's a lot more of that ska and rock steady upstrokes in there. But I just can't compete with the juggernaut of Exodus. So at 10-9 for Bob.
All right, well, let's move on to round 6. This is Beach in Hawaii versus Jamming. The groove in Beach in Hawaii is great. There's, which is always true for reggae things. So it's kind of like saying he's playing a song. But there's hints of Santana. I like the guitar solo, and there's a bunch of other good aspects in this song that really make it something cool. It's a serviceable, solid song that has good peaks in it. Whereas Jammin', boy, it's really hard for Ziggy. I mean, this is the difference in this format when, like, you have a serviceable song like Beach in Hawaii. People are going to play this when they're headed to Hawaii, and they're going to love it, and it's going to put them in the right mood, and that is something that's commendable. But this is Jammin', and oh my God, Bob Marley, who again defies the bounds of his genre and gives us something that's really special. This is another knockdown. This is Bob Marley 10-8. Wes, how did you have this round?
Jammin', classic.
Yeah.
It's super warm, round, switch off your brain and groove to the beat. Just let it happen. Those background vocals are just wicked. They're just so solid.
Man.
And it has that really clever reggae thing where the tempo of the track is quite slow, but there's that undercurrent that's like a double tempo.
Right.
And if you watch Bob playing, there might be grooving to a super slow track, but he's doing all this bouncing stuff on his guitar. And when it's happening when the reggae guys start sort of doing that double thing. You just can't compete with jamming. There's a bad joke going around in the UK. How does Marley like his donuts? We're jamming. Terrible one, but I had to do it.
Had to be done.
Beach in Hawaii. I got really picky on this one. There's something about the sound of the track that really annoys the shit out of me. And it's that main guitar almost sounds like it's been time stretched. There's like a weird wobble on it, which, stuff like that just annoys me anyway. And song-wise, it just doesn't feel as strong. To me, it's a bunch of instruments noodling away. You look at the album credits on Exodus, and it's the same guys nailing it. You look at the album credits on Love Is My Religion, and it's a mile long.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's like a bunch of session players doing stuff for the sake of it. So it kind of bored me a little bit, and I'm gonna ding him for it. So 10-8 for Bob Marley.
Oh yeah, well I think that's fair. Phil, how did you have round 6?
Well, I have to agree with Wes. That was a terrible joke.
Terrible ones are the best.
Yep. Well, the terrible ones you don't forget, because you'll always remember how bad that was. Now exactly. That's going to be stuck in my brain, and I'm going to be thinking about donuts in the UK. So let's start with Beach in Hawaii. I wish I was on the beach in Hawaii with Ziggy too. I mean, but the song just didn't really do much for me. In my research for this particular album fight, try to pick up on the differences between ska, reggae, what skanking is, rocksteady, and this one, it sounded, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, this sounded like a rocksteady beat to me. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. I recognize that. But the song was nothing compared to Jamming. I mean, Jamming is just an amazing song. You want to talk about repetitive reggae song? Jamming is a repetitive reggae song. However, who cares?
Who cares?
It's just an amazing song. It just makes you want to move. And, with the contrast between the previous song, track 5, Exodus, where it's, hey, let's everyone rise up. Now we turned the corner in this album, and Bob is starting to, it's more of a love type. Let's the vibe is a little bit different as we round the corner in this album. And, it starts off with jamming, and the lyrics are extremely simple, but it just works. And, I had it 10-9. Again, could have been 10-8, but I wouldn't let Dad knock his son down. So
you are very kind. Wes and I had him blasting him in the face.
That's right.
All right, let's go to round 7. This is Waiting in Vain, good God, and A Lifetime. So let's talk about this. Wes, kick us off.
All right, Waiting in Vain. Well, we can all relate to that sentiment.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Sure.
And somehow he's managed to blend this moody reggae thing with a very sweet ballad romantic thing, which is, that's very cool alchemy. We haven't heard that yet so far on the album. And then in the middle you get that more English rock bit, and there's, to me, there's an underlying sort of Detroity soul feel as well going on, and some cool blues stuff in the solo, but always maintaining that solid reggae bed everything lies on. And then we put that up against A Lifetime, so that they're both blending styles here.
Yeah.
You get the Middle Eastern string parts, which are wonderful, and then that kind of sort of policey guitar part. But for me, it loses a little bit of the drive through the track. It would have been cool to make, that guitar section a little bit shorter and then go straight back into the riff of the song, just to keep it driving. It just feels a little start-stop for me. It just doesn't keep you, like you were saying earlier, you lose the groove. It's like, oh man, you're bumming me out. Waiting in Vain, 10, A Lifetime, 9.
All right. Phil, how did you have round 7?
I really liked A Lifetime. I thought the message was strong. The violin and the cello were a fantastic addition. I could see this pattern of Ziggy throwing in these instruments that you weren't expecting, right? I wasn't expecting to hear a violin and a cello. I wasn't expecting to hear a flute. And I was like, oh, wow, it kind of surprised me. And it was like, wow, it actually was additive to the song and didn't detract from the song. What really kind of threw me off the rails a little bit with A Lifetime was the beginning sounded a lot like Love Is My Religion. I was like, I had to check, am I listening? Did it go back to another track? I was like, no, this is actually a different song, but it really sounded like the foundation for Love Is My Religion. That said, it was going against Waiting in Vain, one of my favorite Bob Marley songs. And, I don't know, there's not much more I can say about that song. I had 10-9, Waiting in Vain over A Lifetime.
Waiting in Vain. Well, so on Legend, the greatest reggae selling album of all time, it's the greatest hits for Bob. 5 of Exodus's tracks are on that album. 5 of them. So out of 10 songs, 5 are pillar career-defining songs, and Waiting in Vain is one of them. It's just, if you wanted to find Bob Marley, you play this album in terms of original works. It's just fantastic. And his ability to put songs together and sounds the way they matter and just transcend all kinds of things, genre, time, all those things. He's doing that. Lifetime is a nice song. And it's funny that Bob and Ziggy's songs are both about love. Bob is chasing something a little more illicit, and he's waiting for it to get there. It's not coming. Whereas Ziggy, again, has the comfort of his dad's success. So he's like, I found love, and I harvest it, and I look for more of it, and I don't have enough time to get enough of it. So it's a different way of talking about, the importance of these things. And I think it's what the father would want the son to have. I'll take the struggle, I'll take the cancerous toe that kills me, but you focus your life on love. And I think it's a beautiful message that they're able to have this conversation in our goofy album fight scenario. So I make this one, look, Bob's an icon. It's 10-9, and I'm being nice to Ziggy because I really like his music. So 10-9 for Bob Marley. I wanted to ask you, Wes, and take a real quick time out here. Bob's use of backup singers, how he brings the ladies in. Sometimes it's doubling, sometimes it's call and response. It's really, really fantastic. Sometimes they just fill space as he kind of skitters around, with his words and everything. What are your thoughts about his use of backup singers?
Well, I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they're an integral part of the whole sound. I think if you take that away, it just becomes another reggae track basically. But they just, like you said, they just provide that anchor that probably allows him to be a bit freer around it all, because there's that solid bed of rhythm and I guess the electronica guys just use pads to nail stuff down like that these days, but they just did it with beautiful voices.
Yeah, and I wonder how much freedom they had to kind of do that with him as they're all jamming. I mean, clearly they get together and just start playing and find things that work. There's so many textures that I can't imagine one person is working through all those problems. You've been in the studio. How do things like this come into fruition? Because there's just so many notes where, that these really cool pivots and accoutrement are planned. They have to be planned out.
Yeah. Well, I think he was. I think Bob was probably pretty hard taskmaster and knew exactly what he wanted. So.
Okay.
But yeah, in the studio, if they haven't figured those parts out, if it's a band that's been touring, like the Wailers and all that stuff, if they've been touring solid, all that homework has been done.
Yeah.
That's ready to go. They just come in, lay down their parts, and finished. And sometimes because you're working in the studio, you do have the luxury of going, hey, how about laying this one on top or putting this one underneath and just making it a little bit bigger. And you try it out, and there it is.
Yeah, you're right. They've been on the road forever, and that work has been done. So when he looks at those singers, he's like, I know they know what to do, so I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to take this leap because I know they're going to catch me. And then I'm trying to think of some specific examples, but they're all throughout the album where he does something a little bit different, and he's absolutely relying on the ladies, on the groove to hold him safe. And
just to pin it,
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move forward. Round 8, Be Free versus Turn Your Lights Down Low. I'll go ahead and start this one off. So I don't exactly know what to do here. Ziggy's playing more contemporary reggae. A lot more styles are mixed in, and he's a master musician nailing something down. This song does sound like a bit of a B-side to me, though. The chorus, of course, helps really make... I think the chorus is fantastic. It's great work, but just the song... Maybe it's not a complete work, or something is just missing for me there. I do like it. I like that it's more in line with what his dad might do on this album in terms of the commentary. And then there's Turn Your Lights Down Low. And I think of the last 6 songs, this for me is the weakest on Exodus. And I've got to say that now that he's singing about love in this vein, now he's in Ziggy's dojo. And Ziggy is kind of doing his dad, and Bob is kind of doing his son's thing. Only in this kooky format is this true. But you turn the lights down low is a good song, but it's the weakest one, and I've got to... Well, I'm going to note the lyric here. Wave of emotion, ask you to marry me, and every word, every second, every third. I love that part where he goes every word, every second, every third. I think that's great because he goes from time and he's counting and rhymes it in. I think that's cool. And it's useful, but this song is not as good, in my opinion, as Be Free. So I'm going to give this round to Ziggy 10-9. And go ahead, Phil.
Are you saying that Ziggy didn't plan his track 8, Be Free? Actually, he didn't plan Be Free to go up against Turn Your Lights Down Low?
No, I don't know that he planned that. You think he did?
I don't know. I do know that he sounds a lot like his dad.
Boy,
in this, I had to check, make sure this is a Ziggy Marley track, right? Not a Bob track, because I don't remember that song on Exodus.
Right.
I mean, he sounds so much like his dad in this, in Be Free, and this is more traditional reggae feel, and the groove was there, and the lyrics sounded, the message and everything sounded so much like his dad. I loved that song. It was fantastic. Turn Your Lights Down Low. I was like, okay, it's kind of funky. Was this like a little bit of a disco influence? I was like, oh, maybe there's a little bit of a jazz influence on this as well.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did like about the song was the ooh I, ooh I, ooh I. Oh, I love that part. But yeah, I had this 10-9 Be Free over Turn Your Lights Down Low. And you were saying that 5 of the tracks from Exodus are on
Legend.
They're all from the backside of this album.
It's true. It's true. It's such a strong back half. Yeah, it's incredible. Wes, how did you have this round?
My turn to be controversial then. Turn Your Lights Down Low. I can't get past that feeling that it sounds a bit like Marvin Gaye.
Huh.
To me, it could be like a Marvin Gaye track. It's smooth and sexy with reggae stuff thrown in, but it is definitely his poppiest track on the album for sure. There were even bits in there that reminded me of I Shot the Sheriff.
Yes,
that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. Some Clapton guitar kind of sounds too.
Yeah, exactly. And then Be Free. I have to be really cruel, but Ziggy's voice is stunning. There's no, there's nothing with that. Ziggy's voice is amazing, but Be Free, I just did not believe him. All I could think was, well, yeah, you can sing it, but there's nothing for you to be free about.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, you've got all the success of your dad on your coattails, and it's like I just didn't believe it. It didn't ring true to me, and I was gonna ding him for that, but I didn't. So it's just 10-9 for Bob over Ziggy.
All right.
Didn't he fill in for his dad at some point, or he used to sing, I think, Bob Marley songs with the Wailers after his dad passed, right? At some point.
Yeah.
So maybe this was an homage to his dad or something. But I just it felt so much like his dad. It was a little bit uncanny.
All right, well, let's go into round 9, and just in case you thought Bob was out of ideas, he comes up with 3 Little Birds, and you may not know this song by that title, but it's basically "Don't Worry About a Thing. Every little thing's gonna be all right." If you don't know the song already, this song does not belong to Bob Marley anymore. It belongs to humanity. If you don't, at some point, often in your life, hum that hook or sing it or want to hear it, if you've not seen it in a movie, it belongs to everybody. This is one of those special songs that is not, the lyric is fantastic. The groove absolutely removes you from wherever you thought you were. So here's how classic this song is. Maroon 5 was paid to sing a song for the 2018 World Cup. Guess what song they sang? They sang this song. So Shane Victorino, who played baseball for the Phillies, this was his walk-up song when he played on the Red Sox in their World Championship year. And the moment he would come to the plate, and Phil, you know baseball, how often, actually, Wes, you like baseball.
Yeah.
How often during a walk-up song does the crowd sing the walk-up song? Never. But when Shane would walk up to the plate, they would absolutely sing 3 Birds as he did that. This song is incredible, and if I could, I would give Bob an 11. And I thought that 2 different times on this album. This song is beautiful. It's perfect. It is better than the best songs, and for me, it's really special. Keep on Dreaming. I have a lot of respect for Ziggy's work, and I don't think this is in any way a bad song, but this fight really is over at this point. I don't think he lost a single round from Wes's card. And for me, there's no way Ziggy can beat King with their Keep on Dreaming is great, but it's not that great. So it's Bob Marley, and I'm going to say it's 10-9, but I'm being kind. So that is that for round 9. Let me ask you, Wes, how did you have round 9?
Well, yeah, I mean, how do I follow what you just said? 3 Little Birds is part of the fabric of society. There we go.
Yeah.
He's just going to win this one purely on feel-good factor and painting a beautiful image.
Boy.
Yeah, everybody knows this song. Everybody loves this song. It's cute. It's just everything. All the ingredients are there. Keep on Dreaming. I mean, it was a difficult one for me, funnily enough. I mean, Keep on Dreaming has got a great vibe, but in the end, I kind of put it down to it felt like it lacked a little bit of substance, especially against the sentiment of Three Little Birds. So 10-9 for Bob Marley.
Phil?
I mean, I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah.
Three Little Birds is an amazing song. We were speaking about the backup singers. They like to think of themselves as Bob's Three Little Birds.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though this song really probably, according to everything that I read, was about three birds, some birds that just flew up to them. But, it's such an uplifting song. It's iconic. Love it. Keep on Dreaming. It was interesting. The message was, the message was great. I could see this song being in a David Lynch movie. There were some chords in there that just fit like that whole David Lynch feel. But I had it 10-9, Three Little Birds.
All right, let's go into the final round, round 10. And Phil, I'm going to have you lead this one off because we're going to have Wes close it out. So round 10, One Love versus Still the Storm. Phil, how did you have round 10?
Piano intro in One Love, it just gets you. And then from there on, it just, it's a fantastic song. I love One Love. I was trying to find the relationship between One Love and People Get Ready. And, I know that One Love was kind of derived or was an impression from People Get Ready. I just didn't see it. I don't know. And, even though People Get Ready gets credited. Yeah. Or I can't, whoever sang.
Curtis Mayfield?
Yeah. Got credited eventually.
Yeah.
One Love stands on its own to me. I just didn't see the relationship. And then Still the Storms. I like the rhythm. Sounded a little angry. But and the message seemed important, but I just couldn't get past One Love. 10-9, One Love.
All right, and I'll go ahead and I'll make mine short. Let's just talk about One Love. One of the things that I think Bob gave all of us as he made reggae okay to listen to was just the different styling, saying I and I. Like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I've got to go look that up, and now I'm exposed to Rastafarian religion. And just his, whoa. That I don't know anybody else that fills space with those kind of terms. It's not just come on or yeah, that kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with those ways of doing it, but he's just got a softer, different approach, more lamenting, and I cannot get enough of it. He's great, and he teaches us so much about what it's like to be an oppressed person, what it's like to be in a band where someone from your band is murdered, you're almost murdered. There's just death and destruction all around you. You've been on the road for 15 fucking years, and you've broken out, but still never been recognized. You make the Hall of Fame 15 years after you're dead. You win a Lifetime Achievement Award when you've been dead for 20 plus years. It's crazy his impact and where his soul was with all of this going on around him. I'm just thankful that we're able to share this music. This round for me is 10-9. I love hearing Bob Marley's music. I love that he gave us access to bands like making okay for UB40 to do what they did, Steel Pulse, Reggae Jackson, Purple Man, Yellow Man, on and on and on. He kicked down the door, especially with this album, because this is the one that got him traction in the US and the UK. This is 10-9 for me. Wes, close us out.
Okay. Well, he obviously knew this track very well, because I think they recorded it with the Wailers in 1965.
Yeah.
And released it as a single. So obviously quite a bit of time went into this song, get the emotion in there. But yeah, like you said, he kicked the door down on this one. I think with this song, he really managed to get people of all walks of life into this particular style of music. People who didn't like reggae, people who never thought about reggae. Suddenly there's this fucking huge song that just talks about all of us together, one love, and you just have to roll with it. It's massive. Still the Storm. I thought it was a really cool track. It just doesn't deliver as much sincerity and emotion as One Love. So, yeah, I scored that one 10-9 for One Love.
All right. Well, let's close this fight out. We have a clear winner. On Wes's card, Phil, it's 100 points. A straight drubbing. The dad takes it to Ziggy. Although Ziggy did manage to match him on a round and came close, it sounds like, on a couple others. What other notes? Right. Yeah, for sure. And what other notes do you pull out of the card, Phil?
I think that I might come to it with a little bit of a Ziggy Marley apologist side. And just I wanted to make sure that, in selecting an opponent for Bob Marley, it was almost an impossible task to find someone that could beat him, right? So, especially if you're going to look within genre, it's really hard. I looked at possibly UB40 Labor of Love 2 being a good matchup for this particular album, but I just didn't see anybody that could really stand up to Bob Marley. So I was like, okay, Ziggy Marley. Can Ziggy Marley deliver with his positive, fun attitude? And, clearly he couldn't beat Dad, but, he definitely...
we got to be honest. In 10 tracks, not many people are going to take down Exodus. Doesn't matter. We did Imagine versus Band on the Run last week. Neither of those albums beat Exodus.
No.
And it's just an incredible piece of work.
Well, I looked at, could one of Bob Dylan's match up against Bob Marley? And I was like, Bob Dylan can't even match up against Bob Marley. So, to me, it was, kind of an unwinnable fight, but it was a good way to showcase the Marleys and,
for sure.
And reggae as a genre, even though Ziggy's kind of pop reggae and not true reggae, but
But he's the kind of reggae that wins Grammys. He's got 7 of them. His brother's got 3 or 4 now, I think.
Yeah, and without their dad, though, they wouldn't have been able to win Grammys because there would have probably not been a reggae category for Grammys. So
that's definitely true.
So their dad's legacy, I think, helped them. Well, not help them in their music necessarily, but help them enable a Grammy to be won with their music. So, it's more about Bob Marley being the foundation for a generation and really a genre of music. And then Ziggy Marley, just appreciating, what he's done for kids and introducing, my kids know Bob Marley, but they know Ziggy Marley more because I used to play that for them when they were really young, one of his kids' albums. So, it's a soft way, easy way to introduce them into reggae sound and then get them to appreciate.
Which is also attributable to Bob. Yeah, right.
Right. But then now they can appreciate Bob as well. So,
Wes, what are your final thoughts on this fight?
Well, I think in general, I would say the beauty of these album fights is that it makes you listen to the music. I don't see it as I completely trounced that one.
Right.
I see it more of an awareness tool. I mean, it's like earlier this week, I helped score the Joy Division Depeche Mode one.
Upcoming fight.
And I needed a break from what I was doing, and I just listened to the music. And the 2 albums I don't know at all, and I listened to both of them, and it's like suddenly there's a whole new musical world that opened up for me. It's like, oh wow, okay, cool. So it's just such an important musical awareness tool. This show and the album fights, I think is just wicked, and just to highlight the dad's legacy and Ziggy's continuing to take that along and take us on an amazing musical ride is just beautiful. So yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Break It Down show.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. Thank you to us. We all get to do this. That's the whole point. I guess we never did the disclaimer. We're doing this because we love this music. We love these people.
It's
we
so
love
much
these groups.
fun.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And we are going to be doing Joy Division versus Depeche Mode, Closer versus Violator. I think that's our next fight coming up next week. I want to get Richard's closing thoughts on the post-fight from this one. So, Richard, what do you got for us?
Okay, well, that was a fun match, but it wasn't really very close. Now, song versus song, you can argue there were some close rounds, but it ended up not being very close. Daddy whooped up on son. Let's look at the official scorecards. We have a score of 293 to 274, which comes out to 97.67 average to 91.33 average, which is essentially an 8 rounds to 2 fight. Adding in the unofficial and the official, we have 584 to 551, which made it a little bit better for Ziggy, giving it 97.33 for Bob and 91.83 for Ziggy, so a little bit closer to a 7 to 2 or a 7 to 3 round fight. Looking at the scorecards, Bob had 5 unanimous rounds on the official cards. That's 5 rounds of nothing but 10s. On the including the unofficial cards, we ended up with 4 unanimous rounds. Ziggy, and here's the important thing, 0 unanimous rounds. Also, Ziggy was knocked down 4 times. Bob was knocked down 0 times. In looking at the rounds that we discussed that would be their strengths, Bob ended up 9 out of 9 possible points. I think it's the first time anyone's gotten 9 out of their 9. Ziggy only got 1 out of his 9. And a reminder, there was round 6, which was a common round. Also adding insult to injury for Ziggy was 3 of those, of his rounds that he was supposed to win, 3 of those points were also knockdowns against him. So not only did he lose the points that he was supposed to have, but he also lost more in the knockdowns. So there you have it. This one was brutal. I can't say I'm too surprised. The numbers pretty much said this. I think I said around 7 to 3. So 8-2, 7 to 3. Yeah, I scored it personally 8 rounds to 2. It was pretty clear and pretty clean. So I don't think it's really any big surprise to anybody. Bob Marley sang about very important subject matter, and he lyrically wrote great lyrics. Even when he was writing love songs, there was something special about the words he chose. Ziggy, a very fun band. Go see them if you're ever at a festival. You will enjoy yourself. It's just not on the same level as Dad, and I don't think he's necessarily trying to be his dad either. If you listen to his music is fun, and it's a lot lighter in tone. So it was a good fight. It was fun. I still got reggae kind of playing in my brain right now. It was quite enjoyable. Back to you guys, ready for next week.
And like you would figure, this is Bob Marley's fight and the importance of him. And the legacy is so strong that his kids, like you said, Phil, they win Grammys because of his brilliance and what he passed on and the legacy he's left. So this is a good one, fellas. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.